Hi, and welcome to week 5 of your Pilates at home. I just would like, if you are able to grab a couple of tins of beans, small bottles of water, hand weights if you've got them, because we're just going to do a little bit of work on our arms with standing today. So if you pause the video quickly, go and grab yourself some, either some small weights, some tins of beans or something, and or even a book if you haven't got anything suitable. Just something to add a little bit of weight so we can work on our arms today. That would be great. And then when you come back, we'll get going. Good work. Well done. Good. So hopefully you have got your suitable weight to try and work our arms a little bit today. We're going to start off just with a little warm up and standing just to fire up through the core and get us moving. So we're going to come up nice and tall. And we're going to start with our feet really close together. And then from there, we're just going to take your toes out, heels out. And just gently take your weight forward through the forefoot, then backward through the heels. Just finding feeling that weight transfer one way and the other. So just gently rocking forwards, rocking backwards, and coming to that midpoint. We've got equal pressure through forefoot and hindfoot. And then from there, we're just going to gently take your weight through one leg, back through the other. Again, just feeling that transfer of weight through one side, across to the other. And then we're going to come to that midpoint. So you should have equal weight through both feet and equal weight through toes and heels. And then we're going to think about lengthening up through the legs, but I just want you to keep those kneecaps slightly soft. So make sure those kneecaps aren't solid, locked back in to the leg. They're just nice and soft. Then we're going to think about that pelvis as though it's a big bowl, marble at the bottom of that bowl, and you're just going to gently roll that marble forwards and backwards. Kind of keep that upper body nice and still, rolling through one way and the other. Good. Just think about how far you go in each direction, and then we're going to come to that midpoint where that marble is placed at the bottom of that bowl. You're lengthening through the back, pulling up through the front slightly. Good. And then from there, on top of that pelvis, we're going to stack the spine up nice and tall through the back of the neck. Make sure you're not sticking your chin up into the air, but you tuck that chin down gently. Just loosen off through the shoulder blades and through the shoulders. Just loosening off through the neck and shoulders. And then come back the other way with those circles. And then I want you to lift those shoulders up towards your ears, glide them back together, and glide those shoulder blades down away from your ears. So you're thinking nice and wide through the collarbones, a nice big gap in between ears and shoulders. And from there, we're going to come into foot steerage. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. Breath in, and as you breathe out, I'm going to bend both knees, bring the arms forward. As you breathe in, you're going to lift the heels. Breathing out, lengthen through both legs, and in as you come back down again. So breathing out, sit back. Breathing in, lift the heels. Breathing out, lengthen all the way up. Again as you come back down. Breathing out, in, out, and in. Good. Breathing out, in, out, and in. Good. So as you come back, you're going to think about sitting back onto a chair, lifting the heels, and think about really lengthening. So think about lifting up through the crown of the head, and then coming back down again. Breathing out, in, lift the heels, out, lengthen through, and in, coming down. Good. And again. Breathing out, keep those core muscles switched on. Think about that pelvic bowl being nice and neutral, so you're keeping as neutral as you can, especially as you come up tall lengthening through the back, pulling up through the front. Good. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Good, well done. And then if you come and grab your weights, so whatever you've got, whether it's a can of something or a bottle of water or a book, I don't mind. And you can even do it, if you haven't got anything, you can do it without, but I want you to imagine that you've got a weight. And I know that probably sounds a bit silly, but if you imagine you've got a weight and you're working your arms as though you've got a weight, actually the muscles will fire up better than if you just swing your arm around without feeling like there's, I just want you almost to imagine that resistance of a little bit of weight into your arm. So we're going to grab hold of your weights, bring your feet hip width apart, soft knees, up nice and tall through the legs, pelvis nice and neutral, shoulder blades down and back, keeping the collarbones really nice and wide. We're just going to work into triceps. So I'm going to get you to come into just a little, almost like a skiing position. So sitting back slightly through the hips, lengthening from pelvis to shoulders, nice long line, shoulder blades down and back, neck nice long extension of the spine. And you're going to just pin your elbows into your ribs. And from there, hands down towards the floor, you're just going to push both arms out straight and then control back in again. So we're keeping those core muscles switched on, keeping that spine nice and long. You're going to breathe out, breathe in as you come back down, breathe out and in. So hands just come down towards the floor, you're not bringing them up in front of you. It's going from down, out behind, down, out behind. As I say, if you haven't got a weight, just think about that resistance. Imagine you've got a weight there. And just keeping the collarbones nice and wide, the neck nice and long, and the shoulders down away from your ears. Pushing back. Breathing. Let's do 3 more. 3, 2, and 1. Good, well done. And then coming back up. Just loosen off through the shoulders. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, so now I was working through the triceps, through the back of the arm. We're going to work through higher up at the back of the shoulder. So we're going to come feet hip width apart again. We're going to come back down into that little squat. Nice long back, pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on, spine nice and long, shoulder blades down and back. And this time, hands next to your hips and the arms nice and long. And from here, we're just going to push up towards the ceiling and come down to your hip. Pushing up, come down to the hip. Keeping arms next to you so they're not going out wide, they're just going straight back, control down. Straight back, control down. Good. Keep breathing. You should feel that in the back of the upper arm, pushing back. Keep the shoulders down, collarbones wide. Let's do 3 more. 2 and 1. Good, well done. And then come back up again. Good. I'm going to just loosen off again through the shoulders. Good. Bring the feet hip width apart, equal pressure through forefoot, hind foot, left and right legs. Coming up nice and neutral, soft knees, pelvis neutral, lengthen through the spine, lengthen through the back of the neck, shoulder blades. Just bring those shoulders up, back and down. Good. And then from there, we're just going to turn the palms forward. And I'm going to get you to work through the front of the upper arm there. But really make sure you keep those shoulder blades down and back. If it's painful, then through the shoulder at all. I don't mind the muscles feel like they're working, but shouldn't be sore or painful. You can pop the weights down and do it without weights to begin with. So shoulders down, core switched on. And we're going to just lift with your thumb up in front. So it's not completely out to the side. We're going to come halfway between front and side, just to shoulder height and back down again. So from here, out 40, kind of a 45-degree angle. So if you're straight in front, out to the side, we're going to come midway, lifting and lowering down. Now it's easy, especially if your weights are a bit heavy, to lift up and want to lean back. But I want you to keep that nice neutral position through the spine, lifting up, controlling back. Thumbs up towards the ceiling, keeping the arms relatively straight. Shoulders down away from your ears. Good, let's do 3 more. Keep that control, make sure that spine's nice and long. Last one. Good, well done. And relax down. Good, again, have a little loosen off through the shoulders. And we're just going to do one more where we're just working through our biceps. So again, shoulders down and back, keeping the pelvis neutral, nice and long through the spine. Palms facing forward. And we're just going to take hands up towards your shoulders and control back down again. So keep those knees gently soft, lifting up, lowering down. You're keeping the upper arm next to your rib cage. So making sure that you're not moving the upper arm, you're just bending the elbow, moving the lower arm. If you breathe out, breathe in. Good. Keep those shoulders down, collarbones wide. Breathing out. And in. Good. Let's do 3 more. 2. And 1. Good, well done. And relax down. Good, well done. So you can pop your weights down, out of the way. Good. And then from there, we're just going to come into our roll down. So get our spine moving a little bit. And if you want, we can just do a couple of little modified roll downs. So we're going to come up nice and tall through the spine. And we're going to keep the knees soft, that pelvis nice and neutral, lengthening through the spine, shoulders down and back. We're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. Breath in, as you breathe out, we're going to roll chin to chest, curling down through the spine, one vertebra at a time. We're really thinking about that spine moving. Hands just slide down in front of your thighs until we get to the knees. And from there, we're going to then bend the knees. And we're going to curl through the spine, so think cat stretch, and then we're going to lift out through the other way, think cow, come back down into your cat stretch, really tuck that tailbone under. I'm going to lengthen through the knees and stack up through the spine. And again, rolling down, hands to knees. Think cat stretch as you bend the knees, chin to chest, and then think cow, lifting up, tailbone, lowering breastbone, belly button, lifting up through the nose, and then tucking back down, and lengthening up. So do one more of those, rolling through, hands to knees, going to curl through the spine. And then lifting through the other way. Tuck back down again. And lengthening through. And then if you're happy to, this time we're going to come all the way down to that full roll down. So starting chin to chest. And then allowing your hands to go further than your knees. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. and then rolling through. And again. Do one more, rolling all the way down through the spine. Really imagine each vertebrae one at a time. Keep pelvis up tall for as long as possible, opening up through the back of the spine, lower back, and then tipping forward through the pelvis. Stacking up pelvis first. Good, well done. And then when you're ready, you're going to come down onto the mat. So when you come down onto the mat, just make sure your feet are in line with your knees, hips and shoulders. Now the back of the neck is nice and long, so your chin's not pointing up towards the ceiling or down towards your chest, but imagine you've got an orange in between chin and chest. So your back of the neck nice and long. You're going to snuggle those shoulder blades down underneath the rib cage. Lift your hips up and just lower the spine down onto the mat. And from there, we're going to imagine you've got a 2p coin directly underneath your breastbone between your spine and the mat, and a marshmallow directly underneath your belly button between your spine and the mat. And I just want you to squash down onto them. When you squash down onto them, feel like your tummy's working, your tailbone might start to lift off the mat. And then we're going to go the other way, lifting that breastbone and belly button away from the marshmallow 2p coin, lengthening through the front, working through the back. So pushing down onto the marshmallow 2p coin, and then lifting up and away. And then come down at least halfway onto that marshmallow, a little bit more if you know you arch through the lower back, and make sure that underneath the breastbone, the spine's in contact with that 2p coin. So from there, arms down by your side, and I just want you to take a bit of a mental note of what pressure you feel of your back onto the mat. So from there, we're going to keep that same pressure of your back onto the mat all the way through as we come into 100. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to pull in through the core muscles, pulling up through the belly button, up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. And then from there, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop. Breath in. As you breathe out, bring the other leg to join in. And then just gently float the hands next to your hips, just an inch or so. Imagine you've got a little puddle underneath both palms and just splashing the hand on the top of the puddle. Keeping the collarbones nice and wide, shoulders nice and relaxed. I'm going to hold it there, keep that same pressure of your back on the mat. And on your next out breath, if you're happy to and you can keep that same pressure down, we're going to lengthen one leg away. Make sure you're not lifting off that 2p coin, that marshmallow. One more breath in there. As you breathe out, we're going to float back to tabletop. In as you breathe in. And pause out as you lengthen and breathe out on the other side. Keeping that same pressure of your back onto the mat. You're going to hold it for one more breath in. As you breathe out, float back. We're going to do one more on either side. Keep that same pressure down on the mat. Breathe out, lengthen one leg away. Good. And then next out breath, float that leg back in. Pause, breathe in. As you breathe out, lengthen that other leg away. Good. One more breath in. As you breathe out, float that leg back in and just hug those knees in towards your chest. Just have a little relaxed hugging knees to chest. Good. And then pop your hands onto your knees, do a big circle of those knees over your chest. So you're just massaging that lower back into the mat. Good. And then go back in the other direction. Good. And then hug those knees in towards your chest one more time before you lower one leg down and then the other one down to join it. Good. So make sure the feet are in line with knees, hips and shoulders. We're going to work through the upper abdominals. So I want you to, in this position, making sure you'll come down onto that 2 pence coin, that marshmallow. Those shoulders are down, the neck's nice and long. And we're going to imagine that you've got springs in between your rib cage and your pelvis. And we're going to think about shortening those springs as we do a little upper abdominal lift. So place your hands behind your head. You're going to keep the elbows wide. And make sure you don't lift up through that breastbone or belly button. So you're going to keep that pressure down through that breastbone. And then from there, making sure you're not pulling through your arms, but you're keeping the neck nice and long, just supporting your head. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to do a little lift. So shortening those springs, rib cage to pelvis. Pause, breathe in. Breathe out, lift up again. Pause, breathe in. Breathe out, lift one more time. Pause, breathe in. Out as you come down. 2, 3. So you've got 3 little levels that you're lifting through, working through those upper abdominal, shortening rib cage to pelvis. 2 and 3. Control down. 2 and 3. Good. Keep breathing. So breathing as you move, in as you pause. 2 and 3. Controlling down. 2 and 3. Lifting up, shortening that rib cage to pelvis distance. Good. Control down. 2 and 3. So let's do one more of those, breathing out as you lift. 2 and 3. Controlling down. 2 and 3. Just pause there for a moment. So the next exercise we're going to do, it's the same thing. So lifting 3 levels up, but at that top, so 1, 2, 3, we're going to pulse for 8. Thinking shortening rib cage to pelvis, and then we're going to lower back down through those 3 levels. So we'll really get those upper abdominals working. So make sure you're nice and neutral onto the mat, elbows out wide as you're supporting your head. Keep the neck nice and long. We're going to take a breath in if you haven't already engaged with the core muscles as you breathe out. Breath in as you breathe out. Lift to level 1, 2, and 3. We're going to pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Control down. 2 and 3. Good. And again, breathe out to lift. 2 and 3. We're going to pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Control down. 2 and 3. We're going to do 2 more. Stick with me. Nice long neck. 2 and 3. We're going to pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Control down. 2 and 3. Last one. Breathing out to lift. 2 and 3. We're going to pulse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Control down. 2 and 3. Good work. Well done. Lengthen through the arms, lengthen through the legs. Just have a big stretch through. As you breathe in, reach those fingertips and toes away from one another. As you breathe out, and relax the arms, flatten the back down into the mat. Breathing in, lengthening through. And out, flattening down. Good. And again. Good. One more time. Big breath in. And breathing out, relaxing down. Good. We're going to just bring our arms back down by our side, bend one leg up, and bring the other one to join it. So that last exercise we were working through is upper abdominals, lifting rib cage to pelvis. This time we're going to think pelvis to rib cage. So we're going to make sure the neck's nice and long, shoulders are down, come down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. Relax your arms down by your side. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to gently engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in as you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop. Breath in as you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it. So from here, we're going to think about taking pelvis towards rib cage and bringing your knees kind of up towards your shoulders, but not down towards your shoulders, kind of almost as though you're trying to bring your knees over your shoulders. So depending on our lower back mobility and our lower abdominal strength, that will be different for all of us. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, think about pulling pelvis to rib cage, and then breathe in. Relax the knees away, pelvis away from rib cage. Breathing out, knees coming up above the shoulders, breathing in as you come back down again. So really careful to keep that lower back down onto the mat and then controlling away. So you might be able to take your knees away from you, or that back might start lifting, in which case you don't want to go any further. Okay? And then breathing out, shortening, and it might be that you don't do much of a lift. It might be that you literally just think about shortening those springs, pelvis to rib cage, and then come back down again. If you can get a little bit of a lift, and if you can't, then just go as far as you feel comfortable going, where you're working those lower tummy muscles. But what it's not is kind of a knee swing. So it's easy to do a knee swing, but actually we want that control. So slow and controlled. Good. Breathing in as you come back away from the with the knees, and then breathing out as you lift towards you. Good. We'll do 3 more. Good, well done. And then lower one leg to the floor, bring the other one down to join it, and just have a big lengthen through arms and legs and stretch through. Good, well done. So one more breath in there. Good. So we've worked those upper abdominals, we've worked those lower abdominals. We're going to work through the oblique abdominals that work in that diagonal across your chest. So you can do this with your feet on the floor if you want to. So you can keep, if it's too much or your tummy muscles have had enough, you can bring your feet back down onto the floor and work in this position where you're rolling knees with the feet on the floor. Or if you're happy to, come up into that tabletop position. So neck nice and long, shoulders down, come down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in as you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop. In as you pause, breathe out as you float the other leg up. Feet and knees together, and then we're going to bring both arms up towards the ceiling. Keep the collarbones wide, shoulders down, and keep that same pressure of your back onto the mat when you're back into this position. And we're making sure that although you're going to roll, the back's going to roll side to side, we're not arching through that lower back. So you're thinking still of making sure that those tummy muscles are working to make sure you don't arch through the lower back. So from here, we're going to take a breath in, bring our arms wide. Breathing out, take both knees across to one side. Keep the shoulders flat, arms up towards the ceiling, and then bring the knees up towards the ceiling. So breathing in as you move your arms, out as you move your legs. In as you come back up with the arms, in as you out as you come back up with the legs. So breathing in as you move your arms, out as you move your knees. Keep the shoulders flat as you Hold the knees out to the side, but bring the arms up towards the ceiling. So that's where you're using those oblique muscles to hold you there. Good. And as I say, if your tummy muscles have kind of gone, oh, we've had enough, then you can work with your feet together, knees together on the floor, lowering the knees to one side, controlling up. So you're still using the same muscles, but with less load. Breathing in as you move your arms, out as you move your legs. Keep the shoulders flat. Good. Remember not to arch through the lower spine, especially as you pull your knees back through to the centre. Good. We're going to do one more on either side. Good, well done. Just have a little hug of those knees to your chest. And then we're going to lower one foot to the floor, bring the other one down to join it. We're going to bring the arms out wide. We're going to roll the knees across to the right as you look to the left. So you're just opening up through the spine, through the waist. Big breath in there. One more breath in there, and then we're going to come back through to the centre with the knees. We're going to roll them across to the left as you look to the right. Just hold it for one more breath. Good, and then gently roll those knees back up to the centre. So from there, we're going to bring the feet as close to your bottom as you're comfortable going. We're going to come into our shoulder bridge, so try and get some more movement through the spine. So we're going to keep the neck nice and long, shoulders down, come down onto that 2p coin and that marshmallow. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And then I want you to really visualize the spine as you're peeling the spine up. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to squash down onto that marshmallow, and your coccyx sacrum will start to peel up off the mat. And you're going to peel up one vertebra at a time, shortening through the tummy muscles, squeezing through the bottom muscles as you lift one vertebra up at a time. And then we're going to come up nice and long through the spine. So I don't want you lifting too high. I want you to keep the hips level, back nice and long, a little bit of work going on through the tummy. And then as you come back down, you're going to drop breastbone down first. Shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom, and control one vertebra at a time back down onto the mat. So you're going to imagine your spine's like a string of pearls. Each vertebra is one pearl on that string of pearls, and you're going to peel up one pearl at a time. Shortening through the tummy muscles, squeezing through the bottom, lengthening through the back, but not arching through the lower back. And then lowering breastbone to mat first. And then one vertebra at a time, controlling back through, shortening through the tummy. Good. If you feel you've got a really nice movement through the spine, bring your arms across your chest and see if you can keep that same really nice movement as you bring your arms off the mat. So it's surprising how much support your arms will give you when they're down by your side. We don't even realise it, but those arms are just giving you a little bit of support down into the mat. And by bringing them across your chest, you're just having to use those core muscles even harder. Really think about shortening through the tummy, squeezing through the bottom. Let's do 2 more. Last one. Really focus on that movement, one vertebra at a time. Control back down onto the mat. Good, nice, well done. Bring your arms back down by your side. And then we're just going to come onto your side and then up onto all fours. And we're just going to work on a little bit of hip mobility, just to get those hips moving. So once you're onto all fours, you make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders or a little bit in front if that's slightly more comfortable, and your knees are underneath your hips. And we're going to just have a little arch and hollow of the spine and come into that nice long spine. So you're thinking about lengthening through the back, pulling up through the front gently in that position. So that nice lengthened spine like we do in standing and in lying. And then from there, drop those shoulders down away from your ears and just lift the breastbone away from the mat slightly. And then we're going to try and to start with, we're going to engage through the core muscles and we're going to draw a big circle with the knee. So you're really getting that hip moving, but I'm happy for you to twist the pelvis and get that big movement coming through the pelvis as well. So imagine you're drawing a big circle with the knee as you circle round and come back through. I'm going to do one more in that direction. Good. And then I'm going to change direction of those circles. So forward, up and around, big circles with the knee. Keep breathing. We'll do 2 more. Good. Last one. And then we're going to come on to the other side. Turn around for this one. So, nice long spine, shoulders down, push away from the mat, and then we're going to draw big circles with that knee. And I'm happy for you to open up through the pelvis and twist through the pelvis slightly. Keep breathing. Let's do one more in that direction. And then we'll change direction. Good, one more. Good. Okay. And then from there, we're going to stay on all fours. Just going to turn to face you to show you. And then that nice long spine position, shoulders down away from your ears, pushing yourself away from the mat. I'm going to try and keep the same equal pressure through both hands, but we're going and keeping the pelvis nice and neutral. We're going to do a little lift out to the side and back in again. So as you lift out to the side, you're going to try and this time keep the pelvis really nice and still. So before we kind of twisted out through the pelvis, but this time we're going to try and imagine you've got spirit level balanced on your lower back, and we're going to keep that lower back really nice and still. Lift out to the side and back in, out to the side and back in. So core switched on, nice long spine, breathe out and in, out and in. Good. Equal pressure through both hands. And we'll keep pushing that breastbone away from the mat slightly. Think about that spirit level on the back. It might not be a big movement, but you're really trying to focus on that hip. So your bottom muscles work on lifting out to the side. We'll do 2 more. Last one. Good, well done. And then we'll swap sides. So just make sure you're nice and long through the spine. You don't have to turn around. I just turned around so you can see which hip is moving on this side. So you don't have to turn around. Pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on. And then lift that knee out to the side and back in. Keep that spirit level on the back, nice and still. And you might find it more difficult one side than the other. Quite often with our hips, we have one side that does all the stabilizing and one side that does all the moving. And it's hard to be completely equal on both sides. So just do your best, try and keep that pelvis nice and neutral. Good, 3, 2, and 1. Good, well done. Just have a little sit back onto your heels, walk those fingertips away, forehead and breastbone down towards the mat. Just have a little sit and sink into that position. And then just come up one more time. And we're going to come in, just working those arms a little bit again, like we did at the beginning. So from that nice lengthened spine position, we're going to work into some press-ups. So you can either work from this position, and then just as you lower down, you're going to try and keep your elbows in and your nose comes at least level with your fingertips and back up. If you come down in nose below your fingertips, you're using your hips rather than your arms. So try and get your nose forward at least level with your fingertips. You want to load a little bit more, bring the knees back, but try and make sure you're not arching through the lower spine, that you're thinking about tucking that tailbone down, lengthening through the spine and coming into that position. So work with what you feel comfortable doing. You can do maybe if you're in this position, if your arms get tired, then you can bring your knees up a little bit further. So from there, pelvis nice and neutral, nice long spine, shoulders down away from your ears, core switched on. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to lower down, breathe in, push back up. Good. Making sure the nose comes level with the fingertips. Try and keep the elbows in. I'm going to do 3 more. 2 and 3. Nice, good, well done. Okay, just come back up, have a little loosen off through your arms. Maybe just have a little stretch through. So if you turn hand out straight, palm down, and just pull that wrist down a little bit because you had your hand weight bearing in this position. So just coming down, stretching through the wrist. Good. Just relax the shoulder blade down away from your ear as well. And then same on the other side. Good. And then just do a couple of big circles. Good. And then we're just going to come into thread the needle from there as well. So from that position in all fours, nice long spine, shoulders down, and just making sure that that spine's nice and neutral, core switched on. We'll start off just doing the arms. So we're going to keep the feet nice and still, knees nice and still. Breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to slide your right arm underneath your left. Ear and shoulder come towards the mat, but don't rest on the mat. And then breathing in as you come back up. So breathing out, lengthen left arm under right. In as you come back up. Breathing out. In as you come back up. Good. So you can either stay working in this position, opening up through the spine. If you want to work slightly harder, then as you lengthen, so as you slide your left leg, helps if I give you the right instructions, your left arm under your right leg lifts up and through, and then breathing in, come back. So you're using those core muscles to stabilize you. You're not resting on your head or your shoulder or your hand. You're controlling through the core. If you feel really wobbly doing that, then you can just slide the leg out, but keep it on the floor so it gives you a little bit more stability, but you're still getting a little bit of a leg lengthen as well. So work where you feel comfortable, either just the arms and lengthening one leg back, but keeping the toes in contact for a little bit of support, or if you feel you're happy to, lengthen through. Breathing out and breathing in as you come back down. Good. Let's do one more on either side. Good. And then come back onto all fours, and let's come into cat-cow. Chin to chest, lift up through the belly button, up through the breastbone, lengthen that tailbone down. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. Then lift that tailbone up, lower belly button, breastbone, look forward. Lowering down, curl through the spine. Good. Lifting forward. And then curling back down. One more in either direction. Good. And then lengthen through the spine. And then from there, we're going to gently just come up onto one foot and then up onto the other foot. And just nice and gently, we're going to, you can just soften through the knees. We're going to come into a downward dog. So we're going to lift those sitting bones up and back. And just gently lifting and lowering alternate heels. Make sure you drop those shoulders away from the ears. And then if you're happy to, come into just a position of rest where you drop the heels towards the floor. Lengthening those hip creases up towards the ceiling. And then gently, if it's available to you, if you're not, you just come up into standing whichever way you want. But if you're able to, just slowly walk those feet forward and come into that forward fold or the roll down position there. And then gently rolling up through the spine, up nice and tall. And then we're just going to stretch out. So well done. That was hard work on our arms today. We just wanted to work through the arms a little bit more as well. And probably that middle section was a bit hard work on the tummy as well. So you might feel that for kind of the next day or two. But we're just going to have a big stretch out. So if you need to hold on, hold on. We're going to bring heel to bottom. And I want you to make sure that you're not arching through the lower spine. So think about lengthening down through the back, pulling up through the front. So you feel that nice big stretch through the quads. And try and keep that spine up nice and tall. Really feeling that stretch through the front. I can hear the birds singing like crazy out there. They're loving blue, beautiful spring sunshine. Good. Hold it for one more breath there. Gently relax down. And we'll swap sides, so heel to bottom. Think about lengthening through the back, pulling up through the front, a big stretch to the front of the hip, and try and also just keep the knees together so it's easy to want to come here, pull your knee back. Actually, just really trying to keep the thighs next to one another, keep the pelvis nice and level so it's also easy to drop or hitch. So you're just trying to keep that up nice and tall. Good. Just hold it for one more breath. And then gently relax that leg back down. I'm going to bring the feet wide and keep the toes pointing forward and try and keep the outside edge of the foot out into the mat. And from that position, we're going to try and keep everything to the pelvis up really nice and still. We're going to bend your right knee so that you feel the stretch through the left inner thigh. So just make sure in this position you're not leaning forward, and also make sure that you're not tipping sideways as well. So we're going to try and keep that pelvis up tall and the spine stacked nice and long on top of the pelvis so you feel a big stretch through the inner thigh. Good. And try and keep that outside edge of that foot pushed down towards the floor. So rather than lifting it up, keeping it down wide. You should feel that increase that stretch a bit through there. Good. One more breath in there. Good. As you breathe out, come back to the center. Breath in as you breathe out. Bend that left knee. Keep the pelvis up nice and tall. Make sure you're not leaning forward. Outside edge of the foot pushed down into the mat. Good. Lengthen down through the tailbone. Pull up through the front. Feel that stretch through the inner thigh. Good. One more breath in there. And then come back through to the center. We're going to try and keep those feet out wide, keep them pointing forward, outside edges into the mat. And we're just going to lean forward. So slide your hands onto your thighs, down towards your knees. Try and keep that spine nice and long to begin with. If you can come down a little bit further, come down a little bit further. Try and keep the spine nice and long to begin with. Just coming down as far down the leg as you feel comfortable going. And then from there, breath in. As you breathe out, you can gently curl through the spine, chin to chest. Allow your back to curve through, bring your hands towards the floor. And keep breathing. So work with your breath in that position. And then gently come up, lengthen through the spine, maybe just walk those fingertips forward, keep that weight back, so the bottom back kind of in line with your feet as you reach forward, and you should feel the stretch kind of up through the upper part of the back of the thigh. Good, and then walk those fingertips back in towards you. We're going to soften the knees and come up nice and tall. Good. We're going to bring the feet together. I'm just going to work, stretch through the outer thigh a little bit more. So we're going to stand onto the right leg, cross your left leg in front. I'm going to stick that right hip out to the side. Left fingertips reach towards the floor, right fingertips reach up and over. So you're opening up that right side, anywhere really between rib cage and knee. Good, keep breathing. Breath in. So you breathe out, gently coming back up and over. Uncrossing the legs, standing on the left leg, bring the right leg in front. Left hip comes out to the side, right fingertips reach down towards the floor, and the left hand reaches up and over. And again, opening up anywhere between rib cage and knee. And think about pushing that hip out to the side. Especially if you bring that hip in, you don't get as much of a stretch. But if you really push that hip out to the side, you get a nice big stretch. One more breath in there. And then gently coming back up and over. And cross the legs. Just bring your feet really close together. But nice and tall through the legs, tall through the pelvis, lengthening through the spine, shoulders down and back, lengthening through the crown of the head. I just want you to take 3 big breaths in there. So breathing in, and I want you to imagine that that breath is floating you up, like from the top of your head, floating up, lengthening through the spine. As you breathe out, relax the shoulders, but keep that long lifted feeling through the spine. 2 more big breaths in. Good, last one. Good, well done. Well done, that was hard work today. You did really well, and we'll see you again next week. Well done.